Imagine gazing up at the night sky, feeling the cool air on your skin, and letting your mind wander. Have you ever wondered, as you look at those distant points of light, could we actually live somewhere out there, far beyond our own world? For centuries, people from all walks of life have dreamed about exploring other planets. Ancient astronomers mapped the heavens, and storytellers spun tales of journeys to the stars, fueling our curiosity about what lies beyond Earth. Movies and books have brought these dreams to life, showing us thrilling adventures on Mars, the Moon, and even on mysterious worlds in far-off galaxies. These stories inspire us to imagine what it would be like to set foot on alien soil, to build new homes among the stars. The idea of leaving Earth behind to build a new home somewhere else is both exciting and, honestly, a little scary. It's a leap into the unknown, filled with hope and uncertainty. But why do we want to live on another planet? Is it just curiosity? Or is there something more driving us to look beyond our own world? Some people believe it's because Earth might not always be safe. Natural disasters, climate change, and other threats remind us that our planet is fragile, and that having another place to call home could be important for our survival. Others are simply curious, eager to know what it's like on worlds very different from our own. The unknown calls to us, inviting us to explore and discover. Whatever the reason, whether it's survival, curiosity, or the thrill of adventure, the dream of living beyond Earth never fades. It's a vision that unites generations and inspires new discoveries. Of all the planets in our solar system, Venus often catches our eye. It shines brightly in our sky and is one of our closest neighbors in space. Venus is almost the same size as Earth, making it seem like a possible twin. Its surface area and gravity are surprisingly similar to our own planet. That's why some call Venus our sister planet. It's a world that, at first glance, seems familiar and inviting. But, as we'll soon discover, Venus is anything but welcoming. Its thick clouds and harsh surface hide dangers that make it one of the most extreme places in the solar system. So, let's start our journey by diving deep into what makes Venus so special, and why, despite its similarities to Earth, it's so difficult to imagine ever calling it home. Venus is the second planet from the Sun, orbiting in a path just inside Earth's. It's a world that has fascinated astronomers and dreamers for centuries, glowing brightly in our skies and holding many secrets beneath its thick clouds. Venus sits just one spot closer to the Sun than Earth, making it our planetary neighbor in the solar system. In fact, Venus is almost as large as our planet, just a little bit smaller. Its diameter is about 95% that of Earth, and its mass is about 80% of Earth's, earning it the nickname, Earth's twin. From space, Venus appears stunning, wrapped in a thick, creamy layer of clouds that swirl endlessly around the planet. These clouds reflect sunlight so well that Venus shines as one of the brightest objects in our night sky, often visible just after sunset or before sunrise. Ancient astronomers were captivated by Venus's brilliance, calling it the morning star when it appeared at dawn, and the evening star when it glowed at dusk. But beneath that shiny, inviting exterior lies a dangerous and hostile world, one that is nothing like the gentle beauty we see from afar. Venus is actually the hottest planet in the solar system, even hotter than Mercury, which is closer to the Sun. Its average surface temperature is a scorching 465 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead. The surface of Venus is a place of constant, violent storms, with thick clouds that block sunlight and trap heat. Lightning flashes through the dense atmosphere, and volcanoes may still erupt, shaping the landscape. If you could somehow stand on Venus, you would be crushed by the immense pressure, over 90 times greater than Earth's, and roasted by the heat. Even the toughest spacecraft sent there have survived only a few hours before being destroyed. The planet's clouds are thick and yellow, made mostly of toxic gases that swirl high above the surface. These clouds move rapidly around the planet, trapping heat and creating a runaway greenhouse effect that makes Venus hotter and hotter over time. The air is made almost entirely of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that keeps heat from escaping into space, making the planet's climate extremely harsh. There is almost no water on Venus. The surface is dry, cracked and rocky, with no rivers, lakes or oceans, just endless, parched terrain. Instead of water, the clouds are filled with droplets of sulfuric acid, making the atmosphere not only hot and dense, but also corrosive and deadly. To truly understand why Venus is so dangerous, we need to look closer at its extreme temperature, crushing air pressure, and those mysterious swirling clouds that hide a world unlike any other in our solar system. Venus is famous for its unbearable heat, a reputation that has fascinated and challenged scientists for decades. When we think of the hottest places in our solar system, Venus easily tops the list, earning its nickname as Earth's evil twin. The surface temperature on Venus is about 465 degrees Celsius, or 869 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not just hot, it's unimaginably scorching, far beyond anything we experience on Earth, even in the hottest deserts. That's hot enough to melt lead. In fact, metals that are solid on Earth would turn into puddles on Venus's surface. To put it in perspective, it is even hotter than the inside of a pizza oven, which usually reaches only about 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Imagine standing inside an oven that never turns off. No known life can survive those temperatures. The surface is completely barren, with not a single plant, animal, or microbe able to withstand the relentless heat. Why is it so hot? The answer lies in Venus's thick, toxic atmosphere. The planet is wrapped in a dense blanket of carbon dioxide, which makes up over 96% of its atmosphere. These clouds are so thick that they completely block our view of the surface from space. This carbon dioxide traps sunlight, creating a powerful greenhouse effect. Sunlight gets in, but the heat can't escape, so the planet just keeps getting hotter and hotter. On Earth, a little greenhouse effect is actually good. It helps keep our planet warm enough for life. But on Venus, this effect has spiraled out of control. On Venus, the greenhouse effect is so extreme that it has turned the entire planet into a furnace. This heat doesn't go away at night. Even when the sun sets, the surface remains just as hot, glowing with trapped energy. Unlike Earth, Venus rotates very slowly, taking 243 Earth days to spin once. That means a single day on Venus lasts longer than a year. Both the day side and the night side are equally blazing, with almost no difference in temperature between them. There are no cool mornings or evenings on Venus. The temperature barely changes no matter the time of day. Every spot on Venus is a scorching inferno all the time, making it one of the most hostile environments in the solar system. Any machine or robot sent to Venus dies quickly. The heat destroys electronics, melts metal, and breaks down even the toughest materials. Even the most advanced spacecraft ever built have only survived a few hours before melting or shutting down completely. For humans, this heat is the first and biggest problem we would have to solve if we ever hope to visit or explore Venus up close. The planet's extreme temperatures are a constant, deadly challenge that pushes the limits of science and engineering. Venus's atmosphere is thick, so thick that standing on its surface would feel like being 900 meters, or almost 3,000 feet, underwater on Earth. The pressure is about 92 times stronger than what we feel at sea level. Imagine a giant elephant pressing down on every square inch of your body. This huge pressure squashes almost everything. The first spacecraft to land on Venus were crushed in minutes. No suit or shelter made for the Moon or Mars could protect a human from this force. Breathing is impossible too. The air is almost all carbon dioxide with very little oxygen. You would not be able to take even a single breath. Even if you could, the pressure would flatten your lungs. The pressure also makes it hard for robots and rovers to move or send signals back to Earth. Any plan for humans to live on Venus must find a way to escape this crushing weight. Not only is Venus hot and heavy, its skies are filled with poison. The clouds that make Venus shine so brightly are mostly made of sulfuric acid. This isn't just a bad smell, it's one of the most dangerous acids known to humans. If you could fly through the clouds, the acid would burn your skin, eyes, and lungs right away. Even metals and glass can be eaten away by sulfuric acid over time. The acid rains down through the thick atmosphere, but it never reaches the ground. The heat evaporates it before it can fall. These clouds also block most sunlight from reaching the surface. Even though Venus is close to the sun, the days are dark and gloomy, like a never-ending storm. The sky would look yellowish or brown, not blue as on Earth. For humans, these poisonous clouds are a third big danger. Any shelter or machine would need to be built from special materials to withstand the acid's bite. Let's imagine for a moment that you step out onto Venus. First, the heat would cook you alive. Then, the pressure would crush your body flat. If you somehow survived that, the acid in the air would burn you and your equipment. But there are even more dangers. The winds on Venus blow at hurricane speeds, especially in the upper clouds. There is lightning in the clouds, and the ground is covered in sharp rocks and volcanoes. Venus's volcanoes are always erupting, adding more gas and heat to the air. Communication with Earth is also hard. The thick clouds block radio waves, making it tough to send messages home. Solar panels would not work well, since so little sunlight gets through. Altogether, these dangers make Venus the most unforgiving place in the solar system for life as we know it. Despite these dangers, some scientists have dreamed up wild ways to live on Venus. The most popular idea is to build floating cities high above the surface. At about 50 kilometers up, the temperature and pressure are much lower, almost like Earth. These floating cities would look like giant balloons or blimps, filled with special gases lighter than the Venusian air. People could live inside sealed buildings, protected from the acid and heat. Solar panels above the clouds could gather energy from the sun. Floating in the clouds, humans could explore Venus safely. We could study its weather, search for life, or even gather resources. But building such cities would be a huge challenge. We would need new materials, strong enough to survive the acid, and smart robots to build everything. For now, these ideas remain on the drawing board, but with imagination and science, the impossible sometimes becomes possible. Venus is not the only planet we dream of visiting. Mars, the red planet, is farther away but has become a top choice for explorers. Mars is cold, but not nearly as deadly as Venus. Its air is thin, but there is no crushing pressure or acid rain. Mars has seasons, polar ice caps, and days that are almost as long as Earth's. People think it might even have once supported life. Robots have already landed there and are exploring its surface. Compared to Venus, Mars seems almost friendly. Building shelters and growing food would be hard, but not impossible. Many scientists and companies are already planning how to send humans to Mars in the coming decades. So if we have to choose, Mars looks like the better place to try living beyond Earth, for now. So, is it possible for humans to ever live on Venus? The answer is both yes and no. Living on the surface seems impossible with today's technology. The heat, pressure, and acid clouds are just too much for any human or machine to handle. But science never stops dreaming. Floating cities in the clouds could one day become real if we solve the problems of building and living in such a strange place. Maybe we will learn new things about Venus that change our minds about what is possible. For now, Venus remains the hell planet of our solar system, a place of fire, poison, and endless storms. Yet, just thinking about it pushes us to invent, explore, and imagine a future that reaches far beyond our home world. Living on Venus may be a wild dream, but in science, wild dreams are often the first step toward making the impossible